Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you guys so much for joining for our Power of 8 at 8 with Eileen. How are you doing tonight, Eileen?
I'm doing great, Shane. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Okay, I have you unmuted. I'm getting quicker with that button. So here we are. And, it's funny that some of the chaos that ensues just before I go live when I'm having technical difficulties. My camera kept going on and off, and I'm like, frantic, trying to figure out what's wrong. And luckily, I moved the cord and saw the cord was going on and off. So I was able to swap out the cord really fast. I had to go find one. And then, so we're all good now, I think.
So we always come on laughing, and people don't know why. It's because we struggle so hard to get on every week.
That's so true. Yeah, and it gets pretty intense sometimes, so.
Well, I have a whole new system here, thanks to you, because I was really getting frustrated with all the constant tech issues that I always have and have had for years, right?
Yeah.
So I called Xfinity out, and we replaced the Netgear modem with an Xfinity modem, which is a shame because last Xfinity modem that I rented for $10 a month, I paid $900 for in 6 years. And you can get a really good modem for $150 to $300. So I was being a cheapskate, trying to save money, and it didn't work. Xfinity can put all kinds of things through your box, but if you don't have an Xfinity box, they can't fix it and they can't regulate it. So back went the $150 modem, and out came another technician for another $70 to put in the Xfinity modem. And the guy was so smart because, it's as good as the person is who delivers it, right? And he said that 5G has nothing to do with Wi-Fi. You can have it on for your cell phone or you can have it off. So I opted for 5G off because it doesn't impact your Wi-Fi. But every time we tested my Wi-Fi with high speed, 100 megabytes a minute, anywhere you went within 10 feet, it started to ripple. It would go in and out, and it wasn't like trustworthy. And every time we plugged in with what used to be called an Ethernet cable, and now they're called network cables, a Cat6, we would get crystal clear signal. So he said, look, what's happening is Xfinity has this really good Wi-Fi called Boost. It's $150 a month. And if you're a business or you've got money to burn, that's what you want because that will put a quality signal all over your house without the ripple. He said, but if you're going on YouTube once a week and you've just got the cheap old high-speed internet for $55 a month, there's no way that you're going to get upload speeds to get you on and keep you online because even with 100 MBs a minute downloading speed, they only give you 5 on the upload. And you can't buy an internet service that gives you a high upload speed. And he said that YouTube really requires between 10 and 15 megabytes a minute to give you a steady upload for live streaming. So I went out and bought a 20-foot cable that used to be called an Ethernet cable, and it's now a Category 6 network cable. Don't get Category 5. And I am attached with my Yeti microphone into a brand new Hewlett-Packard laptop with high-speed processors inside. And I'm attached by cable all the way across 2 rooms to the modem. I got 20 feet of cable running through my house. And I shouldn't disappear. That should make me stay with you guys.
That's funny. Yeah, I've actually got mine connected up to Wi-Fi and an Ethernet cable, and it's just so that I can have, both of them going if something happens to the cable or something. And if there's a storm or something, then I connect it, instead of connecting it to the same Wi-Fi the Ethernet cable is going to, I will connect it to the Wi-Fi of my hotspot on my phone. Just hopefully that it
Oh.
can jump to that if it needs to. If the power is interrupted for a second and the modem has to reset or something like that, it will jump over to my phone. But, who knows?
Xfinity's throwing a hotspot here. I turned off the Sprint hotspot. I'm onto my own modem without Wi-Fi. I'm straight through the Ethernet. And the same thing happened to Fifth World when she was live streaming. She was having difficulty getting on. And then when she got on, we were saying how lovely it is to listen to her voice. And as soon as we said voice, she disappeared. Poof. She was gone. Just like last week when I said the word energy, which Todd noticed and you noticed, I was gone, and you guys thought we were just having a quiet moment.
And I had you minused out, so I couldn't see that you disconnected. I'm sitting there, and I like popped an eye open. I'm looking around. I'm like, wait a minute, is this a moment of silence? Because sometimes you'll do that. You'll say something, and then you'll like let it resonate. And I'm sitting there letting it resonate. And I'm like, wait a minute, is she coming back? Is she disconnected? So then I had to take my screen off of there in case. I didn't want to just pop you up on there, so I had to kill the feed real fast, and then look, and then it said you left the call, and I'm like, oh goodness. So
I had my eyes closed, so I did the whole meditation all by myself last week. You guys were long gone, and I was in it. I was deep, and I came out, and I was like, where'd everybody go?
I think somebody even made a joke that you shifted to the fifth dimension and left us here.
Go-kart Bob went, hey, maybe she went to the fifth level. Eileen, come back. It's so funny because we're dealing with technology, but our heart energy, the more you meditate, the more you're going to interfere with your technology. And when we get together as a group, I swear to God, it's like more power than the current technology can handle. It's more than YouTube, Google Hangouts, and laptops and mics can handle.
Yeah, definitely. Dealing with a lot of energy.
Yep.
I'm trying to see.
So that was cool.
Okay. Little technical stuff there. So
if I disappear, guys, I'm on the fifth level because I'm totally wired in to my modem. I cannot leave you.
Yeah, it does help a lot to actually have the cable there. It doesn't have to send it through the air to your modem and then to the air.
It's just this ripples, right?
Yeah, it's much better to have a corded connection.
So I've got a cord like the olden days going right across the dining room and the living room because I don't really want to sit on top of the modem. There's nowhere comfortable around the modem for me to do this show. I have to be in this dining room area.
Yeah, see, I brought the modem to me. That way I can plug both computers into it with the wire. And
oh, I could do that somehow.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could figure it out, but I'd need
then
a really long cable.
Then you're sitting by the Wi-Fi signal, which is sitting there pounding you with 3G or 5G or whatever.
Better than sleeping on it right now. It's right against a bedroom wall with 6 inches of just drywall between me and the modem. So better to have it in the dining room than in the living room against a bedroom. Yeah. But I need one of those cables coming out of the wall that's attached to my modem, like 20 feet long.
Right.
I could do that. But then if I unhooked it all, who knows if I'd hook it back on strong enough, because once you mess with the connection.
Yeah. Is it a cable modem?
Yeah, it's cable.
Well, you might already have a cable outlet over there. I don't know. But I mean, if you did, they could just rewire it to a new cable thing and then you just...
We looked. He looked for a cable outlet and we couldn't find one. We found a telephone. We found a telephone outlet.
Yeah.
And that's how we used to get our Wi-Fi, but we couldn't find a cable one in the dining room.
The old DSL. Yeah.
Yeah, DSL. Nothing's on it. I don't use any landlines.
Yeah. So that's that. I guess, the DSL is kind of like, that's what you really got with that, Cat 5 or Cat 6 cord. It's like, it's DSL from the cable modem to your computer.
And it's clear and it doesn't ripple. It's just a straight line of energy.
It's good stuff.
Good stuff, guys. So next week, I haven't told Shane yet, so this is telling everybody at once. Possibly Gail and Gregory Hogue can come on from Metaforms and talk to us about what sacred geometry is, where it comes from, and what it does.
That will be nice to have them back.
So if you're free next Saturday night, we might. I'm just waiting to hear back from them. They just said, what Saturday are you thinking of? They're doing so many radio shows.
Yeah.
They're on with your friends from Twin Flames.
Yeah. And I was actually just talking to Twin Flame Divine Fire Radio about having Sheree and Kira join us on here at some point.
Nice.
Just on the channel. Maybe with them have both couples on, both twin flame couples. That'd be kind of
Oh,
cool.
that'd be great.
Yeah, so we're working things out because they're really busy and they've got their radio thing that we've been talking about me being a part of that whole thing. And so, yeah, there's all these connections being made behind the scenes and people talking, like, with what I've been doing with Todd Medina. Hope to have him on real soon. He's been traveling. So, yeah, there's so many things moving behind the scenes. So even if I disappear off of here, I've got all these inner workings. Of course, Monday I'm going to have Sherry over Protected On. We're going to do our thing. So so much going on.
That's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, it really will be fun. Cause
I can't wait. I love Sherry, and her stories I could listen for hours and hours and hours to her stories. And SMQAI is on the same radio network that Twin Flames and the Metaforms, Gregory and Gail Hogue, are on.
What is it called? Truth Frequency Radio, I believe.
Yeah, Truth Frequency Radio.
Radio, yeah. Or I think they went independent, actually.
They're independent, so I need to download their app because I have the iHeart app.
Right.
And God, they could give a show to Mr. MB333.
They're friends with with Michael. That's sort of my connection with Michael is through them because they know him personally. They're friends with him. So yeah, if I ever need to get something, if you get a show, interview me, have me on. I'll be back on radio. That'd be cool, huh?
Yeah, this is like our version of radio, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about just instead of trying to do a whole different broadcast, is maybe simulcast or do something like that. Because
why duplicate it? Just simulcast it to your YouTube station, what YouTube channel, whatever you're doing on radio.
Yeah,
that's super cool.
And Todd Medina's trying to get separated from YouTube censorship, so having our own thing over there and having our own server, putting it out, and then you can go there and what's cool is we can share our audience because we're all like-minded people anyway.
Exactly.
And we get to figure out who's who, and because
we all show up in. Yeah, we are. We all show up in different chat rooms all over the place and go hi. We say hi to each other because we're in different people's chats.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice to have like a 24-hour place you can just go hop in and start hanging out like we do on the Friday Night Love stream, just have a place to go hang out and chat with people. And
I listened this morning. I always try to catch it later. If I don't catch it on the night, I listen to it the next morning with a cup of coffee, which is always nice. It's like my Saturday morning ritual. The cuff on a topic, like I thought we could even talk about it today because everybody seems to be putting out the same topic. Isn't it interesting in our community when you'll get like 3 or 4 videos on the same topic from different people who didn't communicate?
Yeah. That happened a while back with NPCs. I noticed I did one on it and I looked and other people had done them right around the same time. And I thought, that's weird how like a wave of information goes through or
we're connected. Either we're connected or we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
So I did one on time and slowing down time. And then I noticed other time videos coming up. And then Vanessa got a hold of me today and said, check out Chris, which used to be Jay Christopher. He did one on time as well. And she said he had an experience just like you where you slow down time on purpose because you want to achieve something and it's shorter.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
cool.
All these people came on in the comments and they gave their way to do it. They all have a different mechanism of, in their mind, slowing down the time around them, and it seems to work.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of this mind over matter. It's more of the consciousness ruling the matrix.
Right. Now, you made it sound like you're actually changing time. So it's actually changing time, not just your perception of time. Like when you're having a really good time and time seems to fly and you wish you could like make it slow down. So you're having a blast and you don't want it to seem like it goes by so fast. You're actually talking about, because in your example, in your video, you were talking about needing to get somewhere.
In 6 minutes, but it was a 15-minute drive away.
Right.
Now, interestingly, was it Ed? I think Ed commented that he said, actually, thinking about how you did it, you're not slowing down time, but you're quantum jumping through it. He said, because somebody taught me this. I read it somewhere, and it was before Dory came out and Finding Nemo, speaking really slowly, just slowing down your words like that, right? And that's what she does when she talks whale, which is really funny. So this was long before that. And they said that by speaking slowly, about slowing down time. I slow down time. Time slows down. Time slows down. If you do that, you actually slow down the time around you. You don't think it's gone faster or slower. You actually get somewhere. You move through time quicker. So I guess Ed's point was, you're not really slowing down time, because what happened to me was all the lights were green. No matter how far away I was, they would not turn red. And all the cars in front of me just moved to the left or the right. So I never had a car in front of me. So in a way, did that change the time, or did that change the
Or did it
material
optimize?
matrix?
Like it
Yeah,
optimized your trip there to where you got there in the
half the time.
fastest. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know. I think you're right. If I stopped all the red lights, is that slowing down time? No. If everybody moved out of my way, I wasn't on their tail or anything. So I'm not quite sure, because when you watch the ants and the spiders in tropical areas, the really tiny ones that you need a magnifier glass to see, they'll be running around at high speeds that are enormously fast for their size. And then they'll suddenly quantum jump, and you can't even see them 2 inches in front of themselves, 2 inches to the left, 2 inches to the right. And you're like, how did you do that? How did you zip around and then boom, you showed up over there?
Yeah.
So somehow, if they're not slowing time down, then they're speeding up themselves, which is the same effect as slowing down time. Remember, we used to say, are we speeding? Because time is going faster now. So if time is going faster, when you count on a stopwatch, not feeling like, oh, I'm having so much fun, time is flying. If time is going faster, does that mean that we're just going slower? Is because I saw a video that says gravity has an effect on time.
Mm-hmm.
So if something's gravitationally happening to our solar system or our universe, which is changing the gravity around Earth, wouldn't that change time? So maybe it's not really speeding up, but suddenly because of gravity, we're going slower, we're thinking slower, being slower, acting slower, and we don't even know it. So time appears to be speeding up.
Right, and just the opposite happens when a few things happen. Like, say you're about to get in a car wreck, your brain will speed up quicker, and it will change your perception of time to give you more time to react and to what's going on. And that's what's part, and that relates to, say, a quarterback. When he's, they'll say he's in the zone. Well, his brain will actually slow down. He'll have more time to think about who he wants to throw the ball to. I'm not a sports guy, but this is the exact analogy that I heard used. So you wonder how he's able to do all those calculations with figuring out who he can throw the ball to, all while he's got like 1,000 pounds of guys about to jump on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
and then he'll just throw it real fast, and it'll be like on point, right where it needs to be. And then he gets smashed by all these dudes hitting him like all at one time.
Terrible job. Terrible job.
But you wonder, how is he able to concentrate at that time? And they say, well, you're in the zone, and your brain speeds up, and that gives you actually more time to do the calculating. From your perspective, if you're the person in the zone, things weren't happening as fast as everyone watching, and it seemed like, how did he have time to think about all of that? And it's the same thing that happens if an accident's about to happen, or like, you see something falling, you grab it like faster than you realize.
Everything goes in slow motion around you.
And people will say that. You're like, man, the wreck happened, everything went into slow motion, and it's like it took forever to hit the car and all that. That's because the processor of the brain started moving faster, processing much faster.
Well, that's stepping out of time. Yeah. Then somehow the brain is making you step out of time.
Yeah.
So that you have more control. And what if this whole Mandela effect and changes in time is us stepping out of time, and our consciousness stepping out of the matrix of time?
Yeah.
And having more power, more control, more sovereignty. Hard word for me. More sovereignty.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty freaky. It really is.
And it's very individual.
Very, very individual, isn't it? But did you ever use a parking pixie?
Parking pixie, what is that?
it's a very female thing because, would you really use a parking pixie? You might use like a parking monster or a parking guy, a parking hero, maybe not a parking
I
pixie.
like
But
fairies, but yeah, I
oh,
probably
good,
wouldn't tell
good.
anybody about it if I did. But I honestly haven't. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, years and years and years and years ago, somebody said, "Oh, Eileen," I said, "I can never get parking here. We're going to drive around for half an hour because there's never any parking here." And they're like, "Why don't you just use your parking pixie?" And I'm like, "Huh?" And she was like, "All you have to do is say, 'Parking pixie, please get me a spot now.'" And I'm like, "All right, parking pixie, please get me a spot now." And somebody pulled out right in front of me. I'm like, "What? Are you kidding me?" So since then, I've been using this parking pixie, and everybody I know in the metaphysical world, if you're into fairies, they use parking pixies too.
Okay,
And
I do
again,
that, but I didn't, I'm like, watch, there'll be a parking spot for me, and I'll use my power of intention to do that. So I'll
I
stick with the
think
intention thing rather than the pixie thing. That
I
is,
think we're using our power of intention,
yeah,
but I think the parking pixie thing is just a cute thing. Like
yeah,
we hang our power on things,
yeah.
like, a rosary. You can
Hmm.
talk to God without a rosary. A crystal. You
Right.
can heal your body without a crystal. But we like to have things to hang power on instead of just doing it with our minds.
Now it's going to happen whether I like it or not. I'm going to think parking pixie. Well,
Oh, pixies are awesome because pixies, I love fairies and pixies and the whole unicorns and little people. I love human mythology. And I like to think that at some time it was real,
yeah,
even though we can't see that stuff now. What if when we go to 5D New Earth, all those things that we ever thought about that are wonderful are there?
yeah,
That would be like super cool.
yeah.
But pixies are pretty mischievous, just in fairy lore. The fairies usually have a job like to grow a flower or dew or spider webs or plants, trees, whatever. And the pixies are the mischievous ones running around that usually just have fun, tease people, move your car keys. You put them down on the table, and you next time you look for them, they're like in the refrigerator.
Yeah, follow the pixie dust, right?
Follow the pixie dust because
Debbie
they're
Hazelton,
mischievous.
she's saying, we call them thank you God parking places or
Oh
spaces.
my
So,
God, that's great. Thanks, Debbie. That is so awesome. Thank you, God, parking places.
yeah. But it's the same mechanism,
I
different
love it.
titles, That's why
I
people
love it.
squabble over the name of God or source or all that stuff and angels or whatever. And it doesn't seem to really matter when you get into the mechanics of it. It's like,
No,
it
it
just
doesn't
works.
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've got my angels working for me. I have my cosmic buddies, my alien cosmic buddies working for me. Same thing happens, right?
Yeah, exactly. Ascended
Yeah,
masters, angels, Jesus, Holy Spirit. It doesn't seem to matter when you get into it. It just, you get the help you need, I feel like, anyway.
I feel like that too. And I really do feel that we have a lot more control over our matrix than we realize.
Yeah. That's sort
And
of a
I
3D thing to put titles and feel like you have to get the titles right. You know what I mean?
Well, doesn't it seem like humans always hang the bad stuff on something away from them? Satan, demons. And sometimes they hang the good stuff, the powerful creation stuff, away from them.
Yeah.
So that really they're running through life not responsible for anything. They're just here. They're just visitors here, and they're not responsible for the bad things because that's Satan and the demons. And they're not responsible for the good things because that's from God and angels. So really, what are humans responsible for?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. But then that's giving your power away. So, when you do that good or bad, whether you're not taking responsibility for the bad things that you contribute to, or you're not realizing your power of controlling your own reality, it's still giving that power that you have away. It's giving up your sovereignty, as you were talking about a
Yeah.
moment ago,
And I think the Mandela effect is a real sovereign issue. It's saying, hey, hi, look at this change. I'm changing over here.
Yeah.
That's going to freak you out. But look, I'm changing.
Yeah. I love it, though. I think it's a lot of
I
fun.
love it.
Yeah.
I love it too. And it's really interesting because the people in our community are so creative. They're just so kind, loving, and creative. So I think those are like requisites for you to be able to see this and adjust to it and master it.
Mm-hmm.
Because our group now wants to master the Mandela effect attributes, the power that gives you. And we want to do it in a positive way, in a helpful way for everybody.
Yeah. And I've said it time and time again, but it's probably been a while. So I'll make that analogy again between the left and the right brain and the analytical part and your creative part. It seems like those who spend more time in the creative part, whether it's any of the arts, dancing, music, singing, writing, whatever.
Poetry.
Yeah, poetry. You're spending time in that part of your brain that's creating things, the imagination, fantasia, if you will, if you want to think of the never-ending story analysis, because it was like,
Mm.
it was fantasia, the land of dreams and everything. And that's
Yeah.
our connection to one another. That's our connection to God. And if you remember most of a lot of the Mandela effect changes, I could see a direct relationship to it saying we've gotten away from the right brain and into the left brain. We're more analytical, and that's more me and ego and climbing the corporate ladder. And
Function. Yep.
yeah.
Science, function,
Yeah.
matter.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And
do you think that the Mandela affected people in our community are right brained, or they've developed a bridge between both lobes?
I think the bridge is being developed, but I think those who are more balanced. I don't know if you guys have ever taken one of those tests, but I was pretty balanced between left and right when I
Me
did
too.
that. Were you? I
Super
think
logical. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So you're logical, but you're also very creative, and you're doing art and music or whatever your sort of thing is. Whether it's even meditation, sort of is more of the right brain activity.
So, I wonder if we're more balanced in the Mandela effect aware community that we have is quite different to a lot of other places where there's still a lot of fear. We don't have a lot of fear, chitter chatter in our chat rooms at all.
Right. And that's
I've
sort of
noticed.
over analyzing. Well, what if it's the devil? And it's sort of, a lot of the things we do in life, if you have like a hunch or intuition, that's right brain. That's more of that creative side.
Yeah.
So you act on it. But when you start thinking, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would I do that? And
Logical.
yeah, that's totally left brain. And we talk ourselves out of things so many times. But I don't think it's a matter of, I was just listening to Sadhguru and he was talking about, people say the heart, but really it is the right brain. It's not really the heart itself. We just
Maybe it's connected.
right,
Maybe the magnetic heart energy is connected directly to the right brain.
right.
Don't know. Maybe when we meditate with love, it fires our right brain. I
Hmm.
don't know. It'd be really interesting to hook somebody up and actually see
Yeah, because we
what the
really do
connections
have
are.
two brains.
Yeah,
So
now I'm being told we have three. That if you look at the lining of the gut, the upper intestines and the lower intestines, they are full of not synapses, but they're full of whatever it's called, where the brain chemicals have to port. They have to, like they're floating around in the bloodstream, the dopamine, the serotonin, and all the hormones.
hmm
And to activate, they have to like go into a cell, which is a port for them. And that is the lining of the gut. So now gut researchers are saying that's your third brain. So you got your brain of your brain, you got your brain of your heart, and now you got your brain of the gut, which is really cool because who has a gut feeling? I get gut feelings all the
hmm
time.
yeah, yeah. I think so.
And education, our schools are not designed to create the right brain focus or development of our children. They've taken away music and art, so it's all logical. It's all math and science.
hmm
So our education system is trying to kind of cut out the right brain, don't you think?
Yeah, and even when they did do the art and music, it was like, well, you got art Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You've got music on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So out of all of the subjects, you've got what 7 classes in a day. One of them is devoted to the right brain, while the other 6 are all left brain
All left
things.
brain.
Yeah.
But that must be for a reason. There must be a way to influence and control left dominated brain people easier than right brain dominated people, because during the world wars, who did they round up?
hmm
They rounded up the intellectuals and the professors and the artists and the writers, because those people speak to the masses in a heartfelt way and they're very influential, so they got rounded up right away.
Yeah, and when you're thinking with the right brain, you're thinking outside the box. I mean, if you really think about it, if you're just logical thinking, you're right inside the box, and that's really where they want to keep you, inside
Yeah,
the
because it's
box.
easier to control 7 billion people in the box than a million people floating around the box in
Yeah.
every direction possible. So it's really interesting because then I see the Mandela effect as an evolution of society.
Yeah.
It's going to change humanity. It's going to change the way we structure humanity, the way we rule humanity. You know, it's cool. That's awesome. I'm excited.
That's why I often will cite Jesus as a perfect example of an outside the box thinking person. And, they don't want a
Way.
bunch of Jesuses running around. That would be
No,
horrible for them. You know what I mean?
that
So,
would. And in a way, they kind of like, as soon as Jesus was gone physically, they kind of like took over what he said anyway and reinterpreted it for everybody, just so that they could get rid of that freedom that he was giving people, that sovereignty, that connection to God
directing
that he
them
was
back to the
giving them.
box. Yeah.
Yeah, directed them back to the box through Jesus.
Yeah. Twisting and stuff. And they've done that with everyone, really. Anyone that's had any kind
Oh,
of,
yeah.
teachings or enlightening sort of teachings, they always get in there and twist things and, push you back towards the box. They want everybody in the box because they can
What's
control you.
interesting, though, is that people, as a rule, now are going away from organized religions. So now their box pushing seems to be coming through media. Like, I got rid of cable, saved the money and saved, because it's all rubbish. I don't watch it. I don't watch the news. Very, very, very few programs. I watch the silly ones like America's Got Talent, just to see what people can do, or The Voice or something like that. And I've got Netflix, I've got Amazon Prime, I've got Hulu, right, through my Roku, really cheap. And it's all doom and gloom. All the movies for young people are apocalyptic. I mean, all of them. And I'm like, wow, if that's all kids get to see now who are, on trendy Netflix and trendy Hulu, is the apocalypse.
Yeah.
They should give it up. They should give up that form of entertainment as well, and just stick to YouTube and stick to the channels.
But a lot of times it's just exciting. You don't even realize it. You're just like, oh, The Walking Dead's coming on. I'm so excited. And you don't realize that you're, sort of diving off in this end of the world scenario where people are, it's like dog eat dog, and it's, it's
Kill or be killed.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you just had one show like The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones, that's okay. But if you have a constant diet of it, like 5 apocalyptic movies a week and 5 apocalyptic TV shows a week, what is that doing to the subconscious of the young mind that only sees the apocalypse every time they turn on their computer, their phone, or the TV?
Yeah. And you can see why it's television programming, right? Because
Let's get deep here then. Guys, in the chat, because I always go back and read what you guys say. Why do you think the ruling elite want apocalyptic programming? What does the apocalypse do for them? What does the apocalypse do for government? What does the apocalypse do for banks, for corporations, for energy, for education? What does the apocalypse do for them besides the obvious, the fear part?
That's a good point, because a lot of times all of that stuff collapses in the shows. I mean, there's no banks in The Walking Dead and these shows like that.
There's no energy.
No government.
Candles.
You
There's no banks. There's no government.
Yeah. And that's strange how it all just disappears.
Sometimes I think that the powers that are changing shoot themselves in the foot. I really do. Like, for instance, giving us the internet. This might have been done for some, like, boy, can we program people if we have them attached to this internet all the time? And what did it do? It connected us. It did to the exact opposite. It gave us a voice. It gave people who would never have a voice a voice.
Yeah, definitely.
So the internet kind of shot them in the foot, I think.
Yeah. And with we've got the Mandela effect, people looking into that. And then, I don't know. I think, it's that old saying my mom used to say, what the devil means for evil, God will turn to good. And I really think it's like, maybe it's not so supernatural as that sounds, but I mean, I think, a lot of times that's just how things work out. Things are put in place to sort of, have an evil purpose maybe. And then, it's like it's a tool, you can use it to hammer a nail or hit somebody in the head with it, so.
Yeah, money. You can make money and do something wonderful with it, or you can make money and do something bad with it. It's a tool. It's an energetic tool.
Totally.
That's really interesting. Yeah. I feel like we're at the very, very beginning of a new consciousness for humanity, like the very beginning. It'd be interesting to see how this consciousness collectively develops, say, in like 300 years. or 500 years.
Yeah.
I don't think they can stop this. I don't think they can put the cat back in the bag. I do know that people's videos have said that in the high school curriculum, they're teaching children in psychology that if you misremember something from the past and you think it was different then than it is now, that's a mental illness. But they didn't give it a name besides confabulation, because as long as affected, what's his name? The cat, not one affected. One affected?
One effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, One Affected did a video on it where he said, hey guys, as long as there's tens of thousands or a million people remembering something incorrectly exactly the same way, that is an impossibility. That breaks all bounds of probability.
Yeah.
Nobody can come and say how that is possible. So they're just ignoring it. They're just looking the other way and going, if you misremember something, you're unstable.
Yeah.
But we should all be collecting, I know this sounds kind of weird, but we should all be collecting residue off our hard drives. I don't know, save it with a photograph, save it with a flash drive, because AI is so powerful that it can rip roar right through the internet, and they can tell it to literally remove all evidence of, Sally Field's Oscar speech. Yeah. And then suddenly there's no Sally Field going, you like me. You really, really like me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Remove all versions of the thinker except for this one, which is the current one. And then you'll be, looking forever and never find that residue again.
Mm-hmm. And now there's like multiple versions. I know when I was writing on the book and I was talking about the Mona Lisa, how like I made a recreation of how I remembered it being, and then somebody was like, wow, did you notice it has a hairnet now? I'm like, a hairnet? It didn't have a hairnet when I was
Does it have a hairnet?
Yeah, there's a hairnet. You can see it going right across the forehead. And I was like, so then I went back and looked at my recreation, and although she wasn't smiling anymore, the hairnet got added. So I had to take the hairnet out of it, and then she, and then it was like, I remembered it, and then she got this like wart or mole or bump on the side of her nose. Went back and looked at my recreation, and sure enough, it had gotten it. So each of the times I had to go back and Photoshop it back to the original, and now we're up to the fourth version now. You got the original, then the smile came, then the hairnet came, then the bump on the side of the nose came. And each time I had to go back in there and undo the Mandela effect from my recreation of what I remembered the original looking like. So
did the change of the Mandela effect come into your picture without your participation?
Yeah. My photoshopped version of it, got
But
changed.
you're online. Your camera's online. AI is online. See, I'm not trying to scare people, but AI could be very quietly sitting in our computers right now. Right. And it can change your files. But
I don't think AI could do that.
How does it change my Bible? My Bible is not connected to the internet.
You can have it in the attic in a lockbox, cover it with dust. You can see that nobody's touched it. You can open it up and pull it out, and it will have changed. That's one of the reasons why it's really obvious to me that whatever is changing it, it might be like the internet, but it's outside of our reality. It has to be outside of our reality.
It is. It's not attached to a computer.
It cannot be inside of it and be doing these changes like this, because the changes transcend time and space,
But so our residue is online. Our residue is online, and it's not safe there. Right. If most of the residue is online and not in your attic, it can be changed. So we need to protect our residue. Protect our residue. Get Teresa in here, Teresa Lynch.
Well, I think one of the things with that is that, when you introduce the human mind, the human consciousness into it, that's where the residue is created. So if it's someone drawing something from memory, reciting something from memory, that's one of the ways Moneybag is so able to successfully get residue of stuff, because he goes and he finds people covering the song. Well, when you learn a song, you memorize it. You're not sitting there reading the lyrics. If you were, then the lyrics would change and you would begin to sing it the new way. And I don't know how many times I've been listening to an old preacher preaching, reciting passages from the Bible, and they're still online, like Ravi Zacharias is one. I've heard him quote scriptures in the original way, and somebody needs to send the guy a memo and say, look, this has changed. I know you took the time to memorize this, but now you're not even reciting it properly because it's changed. So you can find actually, and a lot of times I'll turn on Bot Radio Network and just to see if I can catch something. And you'll catch stuff where they're reciting a scripture that no longer reads that way. Judge not lest ye be judged, Matthew 7:1. And
How has that changed? What is that now?
now it's not judge not that ye be not judged.
That's hard to remember. The old way's easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Judge
but it doesn't
not
exist.
Ye be judged. Oh,
That's
man.
where I learned that word lest. Now I don't even know if that's even used anywhere now, Judge not lest ye be judged. Has that word disappeared?
Probably.
Because that's one of the things I came across a video lately where it was showing who was the exercise guy, Richard Simmons.
Oh yeah, Richard Simmons. Where the heck is his headband?
Right, so that made me think, who else? So I looked up
Make his hair puff out here, and then it would puff out here.
So my first thought was, is this something that's happened to Richard Simmons, or is it something that's happened to sweat headbands? So I looked up someone from the 80s that I remembered wearing headbands. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the basketball player. I looked him up. No headband, but he's got the ones around his wrist. Now, he used to have them, they would match. He'd have them around his wrist and his head. None on his head anymore. So now it looks like the headband was just not as popular, or maybe wasn't invented until later. I don't know, but that immediately made me think more of the headband instead of Richard Simmons. And I found that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I couldn't find any images of him wearing a headband. So
that is amazing. So the change was to the headband, not to Richard Simmons. He's just an innocent bystander who lost his headband, right?
But you've got all these people that's imitating him, Well, you saw in the video, everybody's trying to look like him. They're all wearing headbands, but yet he never wore one. So who are they trying to imitate,
Exactly. And this week, in the last couple of weeks, we've had a couple of people find references in Clinton's speech to Ed McMahon giving out American Publisher Clearinghouse checks coming from the president himself, President Clinton. That was on a couple of channels. What else? There were a couple of things like that were quite big.
Yeah. I think that was the SMQAI channel, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think they got it. Yep, and somebody else. I saw it in a couple of places. Because again, that information tends to come out all at once in different places.
The funny thing is, because I did a video on this a while back, but in fact about a year ago, but my wife didn't watch it. So we're riding in the car and they were talking about impeaching the president and stuff. And then it's like, well, that's what Clinton was impeached for. She looks at me and she's like, Clinton wasn't impeached, was he? And I'm like, it's a Mandela effect. Yes, he's been impeached in this reality. I
looked it up and I'm not sure. Tell me how this Mandela effect worked, because it could be. Clinton was impeached, but didn't have to leave office.
Exactly.
So the impeachment is the charges, but was not asked to leave.
They let him stay in office. Exactly.
Well, why didn't they do that for Nixon? Poor Nixon had to leave just for spying on the other party.
Right. So there you go. And, and that was confirmation to me. I'm like, okay, I know I watched the news a lot more back at that time when all that was going on. If he had been impeached, that would have been huge news for me. I would have remembered it. I just know I would have. There's no way I could have missed it,
See, in my reality, I was living in England at the time he was impeached.
So there's a possibility.
And the fact that he didn't have to leave office is crazy. If you're impeached, you got to pack your bags and go, right?
Yeah, that's the whole purpose of the impeachment.
Exactly.
Why impeach someone? That's like, you're fired, but you can keep your job.
They said, you're fired, but you can stay.
Right. That's ridiculous. That's almost as ridiculous as if, it just hadn't happened. But yeah, in this reality, Clinton got impeached. She asked me, and I'm like, no, that's a Mandela effect. I did a video about a year ago on this. It was like one of the first videos of 2017.
Oh, I remember. 18, I think I might have seen that one. Yeah. So this reality is getting nonsensical.
Yeah.
And it's good to step out of it and go, wow, this is kind of funny. This is kind of interesting.
A lot of ridiculous changes like that.
Yeah, ridiculous. I see a lot of the changes don't really have a greater meaning, but a lot of people are looking for meaning in them. Maybe there is a greater meaning and I'm missing it. Maybe Dolly's braces disappearing is telling us something. I don't know. I just see it as it affects everything everywhere and affects everyone. And we're just aware of it. We're like, oh, bing, there's a change over there. Oh, and there's a change over there. Oh, there's a change right here where I am. And we're just aware of the changes. Whereas most people I talk to still don't see them. Most people still are walking around with blinders on. It's like they literally have a veil in front of their face, ears, their senses, and they don't see it. They don't see the changes.
Well, don't you find that if you talk to someone long enough and you don't bring it up in the context of the Mandela effect, and you just ask them about certain things that they remember things the way it was. It's only when you bring it up or
Yeah.
look it up that they sort of do a 180.
I was
And
talking to a friend, 55 years old, and it just came up. I didn't do it on purpose. And she was like, really? That changed? I'm like, oh, yeah, it's changed. She just didn't notice it changed.
mhm,
She hasn't noticed the Mandela effect because she still remembers the things the way I do and the way the Mandela affected people do, but she never noticed that they were changed around her. She never came in contact with them.
so I almost feel like there's something for everyone.
Yeah.
Personally, I think people just choose to ignore it or just write it off as, well, maybe I was misremembering. But there's certain things that I think people just cannot, write off to memory because some things just aren't memory. Like the thinker statue for me wasn't like I had to remember it. I just knew how it was. Like your eye color or your
And my
name.
Volkswagen symbol on my steering wheel.
Yeah, you just know.
I just know what it was like before
Yeah.
now.
And with stuff like that one, I didn't know it was the V and the W. So I know I didn't know. I have that reassurance that I would have known it was a V and a W. And I remember when they added it and being like, oh my gosh, a V and a W. How did I not see that all these years?
So these people then are Mandela affected. They just don't know it. And all they need is their trigger, something that means something to them.
Exactly. On something,
Yeah, if they've never owned a Volkswagen, it's not going to be my Volkswagen logo that triggered me.
Mm-hmm.
If they never looked at the thinker statue, it's not going to be that.
Right.
Right?
But even though, like I had the brother Jimmy, he sees almost all the changes, but there's always been 6 people in the car for him.
Wow.
And that's really weird to me. So it's almost like, it seems like it's
no, because I have dual
micromanaged.
memories. I've got some memories where I remember it the Mandela way and the new way. And I'm like, why do I remember it both ways?
Mm-hmm.
So it is possible to be Mandela affected, but not on everything.
And I think that's pretty much how it works. It's like, and I think it's a good thing because what we don't want to do is sort of create an us and them category. Because
but we are with our little NPCs running around.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an us and them. And I know I make people mad when I say this. Humans love separating themselves from the pack. For whatever reason, every religion has separated that group of people from the rest of humanity. So maybe these NPCs running around are just like slightly unaware people, but they still have souls. They're still evolving. They're here for a purpose. And if you ask them, they're probably not going to go, oh yeah, I have no purpose being here. I'm just here to fill space so you can grow.
Right.
Yeah. And who did it? Levette. I don't know if people watch Levette, but that is such a cool channel, small channel into alchemical astrology. And if you've studied the Hermetic sciences, the Hermetic laws, you will love, 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 love this channel because I'm not big into astrology. I think it's like, it's fun. It's interesting. Humans from, eons and time ago put a great deal of emphasis on astrology before there was astronomy. And astronomy is kind of the mechanical left brain version of astrology, which predates it by thousands and thousands of years. Mm-hmm. And Levette does alchemical astrology, which is just, and really knows a lot about words, where the words come from. Like she was saying, when you're blessed, it's so that you can be less. You are less than the bishop in front of you. You're less than the priest in front of you. You are less than the pope in front of you. They are all closer to the hierarchy of God. You can be less. And I'm like, blessing? Be lessing? Be less?
So when you ask to be blessed by the Pope, you're asking him to put you down.
Yes. And, people go, tell lie vision so we can tell you a lie. Yeah, that's how words are. Words contain so much information in. You just break them down by their syllables and say, well, what does each syllable mean?
Yeah.
And you can find out word origin that way, which is fascinating. So highly recommend this channel. I'll go back later in the comments and I'll put a link to Levette's channel. You might find it interesting too. And, she did something on NPCs and she didn't name it that. And she said, we're the NPCs. Just like that. Anyone who is aware, awake, Mandela affected is a non-player character because everybody else in the Matrix is playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
They've been programming. They're doing as they're being told. They're doing what they're expected to do. And then out comes these little glitches of people who can see the matrix. Now they are the non-player characters. How cool is that?
Right. I actually think of them as the key players that's running the Matrix, kind of like the Cosmic Agency was explaining. Because if you take all the key players out of it, then it all falls apart, you know. Which I don't know,
But
but
that's
I'm
us.
saying that's how.
We're the key players. We're the ones seeing it all going, huh?
Right.
How does this work?
But we're also the ones that can affect it the most too,
Yes,
once
because
you're aware of it, you're awake and you're aware. Now you can take control and start creating something different, which is
on
what
purpose.
which is what we're doing, which is the perfect segue into.
Perfect segue. We don't plan this stuff, folks. Perfect segue. What should we do? I did check all my comments, all my emails, all of our show comments, and nobody's put anything forward for this week. So you pick something, Shane. You pick something in your heart that you'd like to. We should explain while you're thinking of that. A lot of new people have joined us, and in the chat is where you can put in your personal requests with a name, a mother, a father, a dog. You can request that the group send healing love and energies in the chat. But on the actual program itself, we're doing more global earth-based healings. If we're going to do something, it's for all people. So, because they weren't here for the early shows that explained how we're doing it as a large group.
How about a balancing of the masculine and feminine energies? Because with that comes the peace and the more love and the more, I don't know, just having more balance. And that, because that's really why we're out of sort of kilter here, I think, is that, you know, there seems to be, you know, it's just more patriarchal. Everything's more patriarchal, you know what I mean? And it's
the system is patriarchal.
Yeah, and it's more geared towards the war and the violence and the conquering,
protection and dominate, instead of nurture and grow.
Mm-hmm. And love and peace and
yeah,
and the nurturing. You know, I mean, that's a big thing, and that with that comes healing, and so I think, and that's something that we want a continual balance in that. So that's something that, you know, we won't ever reach a point where we don't want it in balance anymore. So it will be the gift that keeps on giving as people watch this in months to come.
And years to come.
It will be a good meditation to do.
They come in and do it. It'll help them balance, and it'll help the world balance, because I feel like our community is extremely well balanced compared to outside of our community. But then we look at the world around us, the matrix, and we're like, ooh, this doesn't feel good, because we have balance and we don't see the balance out there. Right? The nurturing, the love, and the strength, standing in your power in a loving way.
And that's something that we need on the micro and the macro. I mean, even on the individual level, we want to balance within ourselves, which I think gets back to the left-right brain thing. I mean, the left brain is more masculine, the right brain's more feminine. You know what I'm saying? So it's balanced with the individual. It's balanced within our city, our family, in the world, and
inside of us, we've got our male and female, and we were bringing them together. You know, maybe we've had a lot of male lifetimes and a lot of female lifetimes, and it has nothing to do with your sexuality. Your sexuality can be whatever you want it to be, but having that balance inside you of male characteristics with the feminine characteristics would be awesome.
Definitely. Couldn't agree more. So what do you think of that one? You like that?
I think that's awesome.
Okay, awesome.
I'm ready, and I can make my screen go down today all by myself, and I'm not dropping out, because I've got this 20-foot cable running to the modem.
Awesome.
So
and you can get quieter, and you can pull your mic to you if you want.
Yeah, I can pull my mic in. You just come back and tell me if my mic's too close, okay? So I always have to pick the right button. There we go. Everybody have a drink of water. That's what I'm going to do. I've got coconut water tonight. And sorry, the chair I'm on is creaky. I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah, a little bit. It's okay.
It's annoying. I'm sitting on a creaking chair. Next week I'll try to pick one that doesn't creak so much.
Reminds me of back in school.
Well, at least that's what it sounds like. Okay, so you're reading my mind.
Oh, good. Yeah, it sounds like wood creaking, so no worries there.
Thank you. That makes me feel a little bit better. Okay, so everybody get really comfortable. And I'll try not to move on my chair too much during the meditation. I probably won't anyway. And okay, so everybody start by taking that nice deep breath in and hold it for just a few moments and exhale it out with any tension in your body. And then take, when you're ready, a nice deep breath in, hold it for just a moment, and this time exhale out any negativity that you feel has been around you this week. And when you're ready, take the third, final deep breath in, extend your tummy as you fill up your lungs completely all the way to the bottom of your lungs. Hold it. And exhale out any doubts or sadness that you may have had experienced since we last came together. And now you're just going to breathe in and out at a pace that suits you comfortably. And as you do so, imagine a beautiful, bright, and clear light coming from God or Source or the creative universe or your higher self. You get to choose where the light comes from. And imagine that clear, clean light coming in through your heart as you breathe in through your heart. And then exhale that light out of your heart. Inhale it back in comfortably when you're ready, whatever color you choose tonight, and exhale it back out of your heart. And it could be daytime somewhere. Inhale it in, and as you do this time, let it fill up your entire body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes and down your arms and legs, out your fingers and out your toes. And as you inhale that beautiful, healing, crystal clear light into your heart chakra, this time let it fill up a bubble of light around you as you exhale it back out into the world. And as you continue to breathe in your heart, this beautiful, clear, healing light, send a grounding cord down from your root chakra all the way down, down, and down into the middle of the earth, the very center, where it spreads out like the roots of a tree in all directions. And you can make that grounding cord red or brown or gray, any color that you like. Usually people use silver or gold. And now that you're grounded and you're breathing in through your heart chakra and you're feeling protected in your bubble of light, just imagine an event, an experience that took place in your life that made you so very happy, filled with joy, that it's hard to even find words to describe it. It could have been a trip that you took somewhere special. It could be your wedding day. It could be when you adopted a certain pet. It could be anything. Just imagine that event that really took place in your life where you were your happiest. And let that feeling of joy and gratitude just fill you up inside. And now we can join together with an intention in this meditation as you continue to breathe in a relaxed manner. That first of all, you are balancing the male and the female qualities within yourself. Let that balance come through, starting with you. Does it start in your brain? Does it start with a connection between the left lobe of your brain and the right lobe of your brain? Are you balancing the male and female qualities, the positive qualities, through your heart center, allowing yourself to feel and to express your feelings while standing in your power and being strong while you express those feelings? Are you balancing the male and female aspects of your being in your root chakra, which is red at the base of your spine and has to do with survival mechanisms, the needs to have a house, to have food, to have transportation, to have warmth, and to have safety. Can you balance the male and female aspects there too in your root chakra? And now go up one chakra to your sacral chakra. And that is where we reproduce, where we come together in love, and we add the male aspect physically, emotionally, spiritually with the female aspect, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and we come together and we create new life. New spirits come to this earth, to this matrix through us, through our love, and they are completely independent of either one of us or both of us. And let's spread out now. Let the light from your heart center fill your house, your home, where you're currently staying. And let that love light help everybody in your home balance their male and female characteristics, their male and female aspects, their male and female actions, and their male and female emotions. Let them also live in balance and harmony within themselves first, so that they too can extend that out to the world around them, with everybody they meet, everyone they come in contact with, will actually feel and sense and benefit from the balance of the left and the right brains within the individual they meet. And now, if you like, let that love light spread to your whole community. Let it go further and spread to your whole state or province. And let it go further now, and let that love light spread to your entire country. And let everybody who comes in contact with that color of love coming from your heart chakra, let them experience the balance and the harmony and the cooperation and the compassion between the left and the right, the high and the low, the dark and the light, the good and the bad, the happy, the sad, the hot and the cold, the male and the female aspects that are treasured and both equally needed, so that life can be its best possible self in this kind of a matrix, in matter. And we're just going to go quiet for a little bit and let that resonate with you. The complete balance of the male and the female, the duality of existence within you, within your family, within your home, within your community, and within your country. And when you're ready, let that love light spread out completely around the earth, so that we can reach the countries that we're not in and that people in our group are not in. So we reach all countries, all humanity, all men, all women, all children, living in harmony and balance, cooperation and compassion with the positive, loving aspects, and female, coming together in perfect balance. Here on our earth, here in our families, and here within ourselves. And then when you're ready, just let your grounding cord go, let it disappear back into the center of the earth, and start to move around a little bit. Start to wiggle your toes, your hands, and come back. There I am. Hey, we came back together.
I know, I was sitting there thinking, did I turn her camera on? Because I clicked mine and you popped up at the same time.
I know. Me too. I clicked mine and there you were.
Wow, that's good. Because you know how Lynne McTaggart talks about being real specific. It's good to be specific. And that's pretty specific what we did, but yet
specific.
It's the implications are very comprehensive and broad at the same time. So it's having the balance. Both. Yeah. And you don't get that too often. It's like if you get it too broad, then it's like not specific. But that's pretty broad. And if it's
too specific, it loses its time value.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? And while you were doing that, I was like, wow, this is really a powerful topic. Just balance. It is.
I never thought of that. That was a really good suggestion. I never thought of balancing those aspects within us. It also went into duality, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's interesting, huh? You put me on the spot like that, and I just, what seemed like my own idea was probably not from my head, I think.
I think it came from your heart. It might have come from source through your heart.
Exactly.
But that was a good one. And I'm taking Lynne McTaggart's masterclass for a whole year. So, hopefully within a year, I will be a master intender so I can do this job even better.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So it just started, right? Has it started at all yet?
February 2nd.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. My sister's taking it too, which is going to be cool. We're going to be in the same room. So I contacted Laura. Remember Laura, her assistant?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, are we allowed to be in the same break-off group of 8? And she went, yeah, you can be with a friend or a family member if you want to do it together.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wondered that same thing about BQH because I thought it'd be cool if you get the BQH and then just go with it with somebody, Not to try to pirate it or anything, but just having two people that are going through it.
Companionship.
And then you can practice on each other and So really,
I'm excited. I'm really excited about her masterclass. I've heard wonderful things about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it will help me to be more specific, but we have to be specific in a very broad way because these might be heard, 5 years from now.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's exactly why we don't, not to mention it would be impossible to get to everyone's specific individual request if we were doing something, more specific.
Let's tell them why. If you had a family member who was suffering currently from cancer and you wanted us to intend that they overcome it, if we did this in a recorded way and they did overcome it, this video would be out there forever. 10 years from now, 1 year from now, 5 years from now, asking people who tune in to help your family member who has cancer. So in a way, it would be programming the cancer back forever and ever and ever. So that's why we can't be that specific. We can't name things that can easily work and then no longer be a problem, but we're acting as if it is a problem forever.
Exactly.
So we didn't do that tonight. When we asked to balance the male and female in us, our families, our community, and the world, that's a positive thing. That will never kick back a negative outcome. That's a good thing.
Same way with purifying the water. You always want it pure and
and protecting children and healing the air. Remember, we did the air and the food. We cleared and cleaned that too. We revved up our chakras and cleared out our chakras. That's forever.
Yeah.
But we have to be careful, with specific fires. If we want to put out specific fires by naming them and letting that message go out in perpetuity, it's like the fire never goes out.
Right.
Yeah.
That's wild, isn't it? Wild.
Although when we did the clearing, the putting out fires, they were deluged with rain, so much so that they had mudslides the next day.
Oh my gosh.
Remember?
Yeah. Because I'm like, oh my God, did we do that?
Did we do that? Did we do the mudslides? Oh my gosh, the power of this group.
It does make you think, it's like, that's like one of the things why I think our gifts are coming online and with all this extra power, you have to be careful,
Yeah, as long as you might get what you ask for. So if you want to throw your power behind something, be 100% certain that that's what you want. And boy, oh boy, I want the balance within me of the male and the female.
Totally.
And the world. I want it in the world as well. And I've actually gotten accused of the opposite. I've been accused of being a male my whole life. But it's really interesting because my brother, who was stillborn and 2 years before me, was named Michael. And then a really good psychic in Chicago told my mom that Michael's still with you. And she went, oh, yeah, I know I lost my baby. And she went, no, 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 Michael's alive. And then I walked up and said, Mom, how's your reading going? And he went, there's Michael. There he is. So the message was that I didn't make it through as a male in a male body as planned. So I came through as Eileen in a female body 2 years later. But I still got here.
Yeah, and I know for months you were chatting away as one, and everyone just assumed you were a guy. And it wasn't. It was like, oh my gosh.
I know. And when I was like, it's okay. It's all right. I have no judgment. But I was always accused of being gay because I was so masculine. I'm like, sorry, I'm married. I have a child. I'm not, but I'm extremely, I've always stood in my power, which I think is a male thing. I think men, it's cultural.
Yeah.
And I just needed to balance the feminine because I don't wear makeup. I don't do my hair. I don't buy clothes, so I'm kind of missing the feminine a little bit.
Yeah. I get that though. But it was like, I remember you were having to leave Florida, and I was totally imagining this guy leaving South Florida. And
everybody did. Unirock, everybody thought I was a he, and then I put my name down. And they're like, oh, you're a woman.
Even one of your first videos explained that. Surprise! I know a lot of you think I'm a guy.
Surprise! I'm not a guy. I was
calling you dude and stuff. Like, dude, I hope you're safe. And
you're calling me dude and bro, and Unirock was calling me bro. It was just so funny. And I think maybe that means that I do have a lot of balance with the masculine part of my life. But as a woman, I do need more feminine, I guess. I mean, like once I was walking with my mom in Chicago, and as you do, the traffic's terrible, and a yellow cab backed into us, literally decided to reverse into my legs. And instead of going, ow, ow, poor me, I banged on the back of his car, and I'm like, what's wrong with you? You're running us over. And my mom was like, oh, Eileen, that's so Chicago of you.
That's probably even more New York, huh?
More New York, yeah. I'm much calmer now, guys. I'm approaching 60, so I'm in my calm mode now. I was in my 20s then.
Well, it really does say a lot about everyone else too, not just you, that we would just assume that, from a name like One, which could totally go either way. But, but yeah, you did come across as, strong-willed and powerful and knowledgeable and all of that.
I just don't reek of feminine, of female. I know, but that's okay. I like both. Yeah. I like both. So I think as I get older, I'm mellowing into my feminine side, my right brain side more, instead of, I grew up in the Middle East, and I became a journalist undercovering like real dirty politicians in Chicago. So I fed that side of me. I fed the more masculine side of me my whole life. And now I can feel the feminine side with meditations, Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. So,
and I think the name One really sums up a balance,
Yeah, it's both. It's all of us. We're all one.
Yeah. I can't think of a more androgynous name, really, One.
I can't either until I threw my name on there. I'm like, okay, everybody thinks I'm a guy. I'm just going to stick my name on the end of it.
Good stuff. Well, I do have your link below, so anybody who hasn't subscribed already, be sure to go over and subscribe. Guys. You've been putting out a lot more content, super interesting stuff. I loved what you just put out. I really liked the contact information.
I know you did.
I
told
cool.
Shane. I told Shane about it a year or two ago. I said, by the way, I do have a lot of contact, and I'm like, but don't tell everybody, because cool. I wasn't confident.
Yeah, but it's cool for me because I trust you as a person, So when you send me footage of this cool looking UFO, when you tell me these contact stories, I know as a person I can trust you. And you don't always get that if you're just sort of like, looking around the internet, you find somebody, you're like, well, I don't really know this person. Would they just get on here and make this up? I know you wouldn't,
I'm not making it up, and I know you guys know I'm not going to lie to you guys, but it's so interesting that I hid it from everybody. I was like, I'm not going to actually out myself. on contact, because then I'll come under too much scrutiny and I'll be criticized and people are like, prove it, and I didn't feel confident enough to stand in it until Dust in the Wind did his. And I'm like, okay,
Dustin.
Thanks, Dustin. You did it. I'm going to do it. And now so many people, even in the thread of that video, were telling their contact stories when they were children. Did you see that? And I'm like, thank you. Thank you for telling us your story. And they were afraid to tell people too.
Mm-hmm. And that's sort of why we're doing this show, because I think more people are going to, once they see that, hey, well, they're telling their story, I can tell my story. I had Sherry Wild on, who wrote that book, Forgotten Promise.
So good.
And I can totally trust what she said too. I don't know. I just resonated with her story. You could tell that she, it's like the people that don't want to come out and tell it. It's like, why would they make it up like at the last?
Why would they make it up if they're not asking for
so
fame and fortune? Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So I basically hid mine my whole life, but not like I was like cowering behind it. I just felt like personal, close family should know, but not everybody. If I don't know somebody really well, why should I tell them something that personal?
Because it doesn't benefit you, it benefits others. So that's why I want to thank you. I want to thank Dustin in the Wind.
Yeah, I did it to just get it out and say, let's all just tell our stories of contact. And a lot of people have a story of contact where they just see the lights or something. And then that's it. That's all they saw. They don't remember anything after that. And that could be contact too.
Mm-hmm. But I think, like, with listening to your story and hearing about the big banging sound and stuff, that could jar, because you don't know what, somebody might just remember one specific little piece and haven't ever put two and two together. So they hear that and like, oh, well, I remember hearing bang sometimes. And then they'll start piecing together their story and they'll realize they've had an experience without even knowing it, because you jarred their memory with your story.
Yeah, people said that. They said, oh my God, I've heard that big bang, that sonic boom in the house before, and now I know what it is. And then they said, what about the sonic booms in the towns that the whole town is hearing? That could be it too. Who knows, right? That could be a dimensional thing.
Oh, totally, yeah.
I did remember, because I showed you guys my little triangle last week. I don't know if it's going to come up, because it's in such an awkward place. I want to show it to you now. I did remember after the show, like a couple of days later, that my contact has really waned and become a lot less frequent since I went through menopause. And a couple of weeks ago, I was just walking the dog going, hey guys, if you're still with me, just show me, send me a sign. But of course, I wake up with this triangle on my arm a week later, and I don't put two and two together. So it took something to trigger my memory that, like, oh yeah, you asked for this. You asked for a sign, because I was feeling a little neglected. I was like, you don't want me anymore because I'm not producing eggs, It was like, show me that you're still there. And I'll see if I can show it to you guys now. But it's really interesting. It's in such an awkward place. Where's my camera? Can you see it?
Go a little higher.
Higher?
Yep, right there.
Can you see it?
Yeah, right here.
That's all that's left. It's like the scab fell off.
It's wild. Yeah, it just looks like a pink triangle now.
It's a pink triangle. So I think that's going to be a scar where it probably won't tan. So I'll probably always have this little white triangle on the inside of my arm, which is a sign. It's a sign you're not alone. We're still here. We're still with you.
It didn't hurt or anything, right?
No. That's the weird part, is when I woke up with it, it looked like a burn, or like the skin had been removed, and there was no pain. No pain at all.
It's like a laser did it or something.
Yeah, is that not painful when a laser takes stuff off?
Yeah, I don't think it is. I think it's...
The precision of the edges each side is exactly the same length of the other side. It's an equilateral triangle.
It'd be interesting if you could, well, I guess T. Taylor has that microscope. It would be cool to see if there's anything on the microscopic scale that you could see with it. Wouldn't that be cool?
Here one day and went, somebody told me Eileen's showing triangles, so she's really interested in that. I would love for her to look at that. And when you and Sherry do your show, I'll send you photos of this triangle along with a triangle I got on my ankle 4 or 5 years ago that wouldn't rub off. I'll just send them to you, and maybe you can get pictures of other people's, like, contact.
Yeah. And I think about the story that it was in that same video, but you were talking about how the rabbit scratched you.
Yeah, when I was 5.
That is so weird.
2 parallel incisions that looked like a razor had made them on the inside of my thigh towards my knee when I was 5. And then I was programmed to say it was a bunny rabbit. And they're like, we're going to give you a lot of shots in your tummy if a bunny rabbit did that. I'm like, it's a bunny rabbit. And, for a child to go, why am I saying that? Why do I keep saying bunny rabbit?
But you don't even remember the bunny rabbit. It's like,
No, I don't remember saying a bunny rabbit. I don't remember the incisions either.
Yeah.
But I did land in a field at the end of my street. I wasn't returned to my backyard.
Do you think there's an implant there, or do you think they biopsy? What do you think it was?
Oh, it's funny that you said that. This is getting very personal, right? I have a lump about 3 or 4 inches now above where the incisions were when I was 5. And I went to the doctor when I got the lump. Lumps, cancer. I'm like, do I have to worry about this lump? And he felt it and he went, no. And I said, how come? And he said, because I can move it. It moves around. And cancerous lumps are stationary. They have roots.
Trapped in the tissue, so to speak.
Trapped in the tissue. And he said, this one's loose. This is a free-flowing lump.
So it could have been more even with the incisions at one time, and
it might have
your
moved
leg.
Up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now my body's built cartilage around it because he said that's just a lump of cartilage that's floating around in my body. And it's right there on the same leg.
Now, have you gotten any x-rays or anything in that area of your body before?
No. I got an x-ray of my left ankle when I broke my ankle, but I've never had an x-ray or MRI of the lump. So if I ever get the opportunity to actually see inside that lump, like an ultrasound or an x-ray or an MRI, I don't want to go through the tunnel. No, I'm not going to do the MRI unless it's a sitting one.
We got dust in the wind. Maybe. Dustin. Yeah. Maybe you could sneak in there if you're in the St. Louis area,
we just want to see what's in the lump in the leg.
Yeah, because that
could be my body rejecting it.
Yeah, you don't have to use any film or anything. Just bring it up on the screen. She can take a picture with the thing. I don't know.
We can go live with Sherry and Shane. Where is Dustin? Where are you, Dustin? Wherever he is.
He's in here. He was thanking you earlier and everything. So.
Oh, I love you, buddy. He's got snow. Do more videos from your car. I love it because I'm just pretend like I'm in the car with you and it's really cold. Yeah, I can't wait. I loved it, Shane. And I can't wait till you and Sherry get together because I'm going to send you guys loads of photos on different things. I won't bombard you. I'll just do it occasionally.
Well, that'd be cool because we plan on having a guest, but then just showing some stuff every show that people send in and things like that. So it'd be perfect,
Yep. So it'll be fun. Yeah, and I would love to know what's in that lump.
He says, Dustin says, I've only seen a couple of weird things on X-ray.
Oh, like what?
Oh, he said,
you got to get him on your show.
He said he'll get fired. Okay, sorry. Yeah, it was just a.
Are you sure you'll get fired? Can you go on incognito on the Shane and Sherry Supernatural show? Look, it's all S's. Talk about syphilis, right? Supernatural Shane and Sherry show. Can he come on incognito and talk about what he found in X-rays?
Yeah, he said he'll get fired. We can lie and say you're really in Kansas City, Missouri, or something.
Yeah.
He says, but I love you guys. On the DL, I do it. You do it on the down low. That's what we're asking, man. Just kind of wandering through the hospital, slip in there real quick, hit the button, get out real fast.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to see those images. And dead GPK. We have got to lure him on somehow. That man knows so much, not about the sky. He knows a lot about the sky, but about gravity and space. And, he's so knowledgeable. And Mike from My Skies 5D can talk about what are those sylphs? Those energetic beings that live in the clouds. That'd be good for you and Sherry to talk about sylphs. That's a whole new concept.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that one.
Yeah, he's super cool.
Yeah, well, I know about his channel. I just hadn't heard about sylphs. So I must have.
Yeah, apparently, when you see a chemtrail and it turns into feathers.
Yeah.
And then the feathers turn into a bird or a dragon. That's a sylph. That's an energetic creature or being moving the chemtrails around to kind of show that it's there. Isn't that cool?
That's interesting because I just did. It was during the Christmas. I think I want to say I was. I hate to do the Christmas shopping thing. So, of course, my wife ran into Walmart. And I'm like, you know what? I'll sit outside and do a time lapse. The sun was going down. So it was like in December, and I set my camera up on my dash mount thing, and I just started the recording. And sure enough, I got one of those sylphs you're talking about on there. I saw the chemtrail came in, and then by the end of the thing, it was an eagle. It looked like an eagle with the wings.
Go Kart Bob knows about them too.
Okay. I just didn't know the terminology, but I thought the same thing.
I learned it from Mike on My Skies 5D. He's a regular with us too. So we've got so many people with so much information in this group.
Yeah.
Todd, awesome. T. Taylor, Debbie, I could just name them all. Metal Rabbit is so politically savvy. You have no idea how smart that woman is. And most people, I think, thought Metal Rabbit was a guy too, because he has a really strong personality.
Yeah.
Comments. Amazing. Yeah. But all of you out there, Biker Babe, everybody, I could just name all of you, and Michelle, there's so many of you, and Kate and Amanda, whom we don't think of as having channels, but they're always here,
Yeah.
So
all
many.
The Michelles, all the Angelas and Angies.
All the Angelas and
the Dianes. Yeah. There's so many of you guys.
Yep.
Trixie Bell. Oh, Trixie, I think you're in St. Louis too, aren't you? See, we need to have a get-together up in there, because people from Chicago could drive down, people from, Kansas City, Missouri, and I think St. Louis would be a good,
hub.
place. Yeah, because
instead of Chicago,
even us from here in Tulsa, we can be up there in 5 or 6 hours. So I think that would be.
And people from Chicago can get there, and from Canada can get there fairly quick.
Yeah.
We're thinking, guys, of doing a Mandela Effect conference, not a get-together, a proper let's all go and get together and meet a lot of Mandela channels and sit down and have roundtable discussions with, some of your favorite people for 2020. So maybe that should be in St. Louis instead of Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Chicago would be a good city too, though.
But, St. Louis is smaller, and it gives it a kind of, puts it, we don't always have to go for the big cities.
Yeah. And it's far enough south that more people from the south could come up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it would be further for the Canadians. So I guess if we have quite a few people in Canada, we want to get Lone Eagle down, and Jose and Angela, and
Michelle,
a lot of people
there. Yep. Who else said he was a Canuck lately? Someone in our group said that they're Canadian.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a Canuck is. Is it a whale or something? It sounds Eskimo to me. I don't know. Is it something bad? Should I not be saying Canuck? I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah, maybe I should Google it real quick and seem smart. But no, I don't know what it is. Is that that's a Chinook, isn't it? The helicopter thing.
Oh yeah, Chinook helicopter. I saw one of those the other day. You want to hear a weird story? I know we're getting long in the tooth here on this show. But my daughter, I was like, you come out and walk the dog with me at 2 a.m, because I'm always out there on my own. But I'm very safe. I stay in a safe neighborhood with gates and lights and all this. And I don't go far from home. And there was a Chinook helicopter, really loud, with the double propeller blades, one in the front, one in the back. And it was just going around in circles. And we're like, what is that helicopter doing? Because usually they're trailing like a triangle, or they're looking for, like, what is it? The person, when they're like on a manhunt,
right.
But he is whatever they call that. And I'm like, what is that helicopter doing? And it would go over in a circle, and it would go right over us. And it was really low. So I'd wave at it every time. And she'd be like, don't stop waving at the helicopter. And I'd be like, I can see you, just to let them know that we can see them. And it went over us like 5 times. I'm like, this is too weird, because we're walking the dog. How does it always go over our heads when we're not in the same place? And it would just do a circle every 30 seconds. Every 60 seconds, it would complete its circle. So I'm like, come on, follow me. And we run across the complex in the parking lot to a completely different spot. And we just stand there under a light. We're like, let's see if the helicopter goes over us. And sure enough, it makes a wider turn and flies right over our head. I think basically that they were playing with us, like they were bored and they were having fun. And they're like, hey, those people down there are waving at us at 2 a.m. Let's give them a thrill. Let's keep flying over their head no matter where they go.
That is a trip. So it looked like military then?
Yeah, it was definitely military. But then again, we have a very famous military base. I can't remember what it's called. Right outside of Miami in the Everglades. It's where supposedly the urban legend says that they took the bodies from Roswell, pardon me, to the Air Force base in the Everglades.
Oh, okay.
And how did we find that out? The president took Jackie Gleason, who lived in Miami, on a tour to go see the bodies of the dead aliens.
Oh, they're saying, Eileen, it's Canucks. Is that?
Yeah, what does that mean?
I don't know.
What does Canuck mean?
Maybe is that the team up there? Probably a team, but still, it's named after something, right?
Yeah, I bet you it's a hockey team.
Vancouver Canucks.
There you go. I bet they play hockey.
Yep, hockey team.
Because I was a big Blackhawks fan back in the day.
Still don't know what they are.
Nope, we don't know what they are.
Well, I'm looking at their logo. It's sort of like a looks like a shark. Maybe.
Oh,
Maybe it's a type of shark.
interesting. I wouldn't have put shark up in Canada.
Let me put Canuck shark and see.
Something in the snow, you know?
Oh, no, it says Canucks versus Sharks.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know. Somebody can chime out, enlighten us, because everything that's popping up has to do with that channel. It's not even, or that team. It's not even explaining what it is. So. Maybe it's its own thing. Maybe it's named after a city that's named after a person. Who knows?
Who knows?
So many mysteries.
We'll have to leave it a mystery.
Yeah.
Where's
definitely.
Ronnie in VA when you need her? Ronnie.
She's
She always-
here, but she's not Ronnie in Canada, CA, right? Or she would probably know. I did see her
asked
earlier.
Michelle on Tuesday. Michelle, what the heck is a Canuck?
Yeah, I will ask her. Well, she won't be in this Thursday. I'm actually going to have T. Taylor on Thursday in that slot, or Tuesday in that slot, because
Cool.
she's got the cool. Did you get to see any of the images?
I did.
That's wild
And I don't know
stuff.
how she's getting them, but they're awesome.
That's wild
I know it's a
stuff.
microscope, and I know she's got a light, but that is super cool. Maybe she can show you some live on how she finds those geometrical sacred geometry patterns in crystalline under the skin.
And then changing the light there and bringing out, it looks sparkly and colorful, and it's like
Lots of triangles. And if I just look at my hands, maybe not tonight, but if I look at them during the day with sunlight, they just shine like shimmer.
Yeah.
I don't see sparkles. I only see shimmer and shine, like they're covered in oil. I don't know. You can't really pick it up at night, can you?
But when you look closely, they're individual dots. They're not. I see.
Really?
I know what you're saying. Yeah, but I don't know how your eyesight is. When you look close, it's more like that shimmer makeup women put on that looks like mini.
shimmer,
It
like
looks
shine.
like yeah, it looks sort of like that, where it's actually it's particles rather than.
So we are getting shiny, happy people everywhere. What song is that? Is that REM?
Yeah, I think it is REM. Yeah.
Who also sang "It's the End of the World as We Know It," and I feel fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that group was way ahead of its time.
See, I wish I had that song to queue up, although I'd probably get a copyright strike. But
Yeah, we probably would. Oh, but One Affected also said, "Send me your Mandela theme song." So I said, okay, if I had to pick one song from me that makes me feel like the Mandela effect, it would have been REM's "It's the End of the World as We Know It," and I feel fine. At first, but now it's that Freddie Mercury one. What is that one? Nothing can stop us now. I'm having such a good time. I'm having a ball. Don't stop us now. That one.
very good.
How about you? What's your Mandela effect theme song?
I think that's a good one, the REM one.
Yeah, it's the end of the world.
Because it really sums it up pretty good.
It does. And then it says, "I feel fine."
Yeah, and it does take a while to realize you feel fine, because at first you're like, what's going to happen tomorrow? And you start worrying about, just because some trippy stuff's happening. But
Give enough to listen to that song, because it's got a fast rap in it about bombs and nuclear and presidents. I swear to God, it mentions Trump. I swear in that fast rap, he throws Trump in there. And so it goes through all the bad things happening around you. And then it's like, it's the end of the world and I feel fine. So somehow all that whatever nonsense doesn't affect the person singing it.
Wow.
That's listen to it tonight if you get a chance.
I'm definitely going to check it out.
Because I had to go, what year was this written? I think it was performed in 2003. Maybe 2009. I don't know. I get my 3s, my 6s, and my 9s mixed up.
Dang vortex math, right?
Tesla.
Well, cool. I appreciate you coming on again, Eileen. We will be back together next Saturday, and lots of love light to you guys in the
Thank
chat.
you, everybody. Love you guys.
All right. And you'll go back and read the chat, and I'll definitely keep an eye on the comments. So if you guys are watching this later and you have suggestions for next week, please leave them below, and we'll consider it. All
Love you
right. Love you guys. Bye-bye. If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.